Hello everyone, today we're going to be doing a first round preview of the New York Rangers against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, before we start, please make sure to subscribe to my channel if you are new. Now let's get to it. So, you have the kind of inexperienced New York Rangers taking on the veteran Pittsburgh Penguins, and a lot of this, of course, is familiar because we have seen these two teams meet 3 straight seasons in the playoffs from 2014 through 2016, with the Rangers taking 2 of those 3 series. Now, a lot has changed since then. So let's take a look at the season series from this year, and then, of course, we will go from there, talk about some of the storylines and some of the factors in this series as well, and what we could see. So for the Rangers, they were actually able to take 3 of the 4 games this year played between the two, and we have to talk about the fact that we're bound to hear about the Penguins getting their last ride. And I get it. They have a group that's a little bit older, some core guys that are a little bit older that you'd like to see probably get one last run. I wouldn't, but Pittsburgh fans would. And they don't really have too many more kicks at the can, so there's hope that they can end it with a bang. That means guys like Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Letang especially will have to have big series, at least in the media's eyes. That's probably going to be the expectations, but I don't know. I think we're going to have to see who's going to do it. I think Crosby definitely could. He led the team for points this year, and said the kid has been electric. 31 goals and 53 assists for 84 points in 68 games played. The 34-year-old also was just really gritty on the forecheck. What else is new, and benefited from that offensively. Although he and a lot of other Penguins had kind of a quiet season series against the Rangers in terms of not getting on the score sheet in terms of goals and assists the way you'd like. And of course, you would have to expect big things from other guys probably as well. It just can't be these guys. But I actually want to focus on Danton Heinen. If you're not familiar with him, he is a middle 6 forward for Pittsburgh that played really well at full strength against the Rangers this year. Actually had some really good games against them at 5-on-5 play. Scored a lot of goals on the year down in the low slot and on the doorstep, which is something that New York struggles to defend, which is why I'm tying him in here with these guys. Yes, Sid and Co. will probably be the focus of this series, and I think some of those guys really could have a good series, but I also believe Heinen will be a big part of this series, maybe one of those under the radar guys that could play well and end up being a guy you would focus on a little bit. He played well with Malkin and other notable Pens players in the games against the Rangers this year, and then had his moments with some of those guys on the season. And while I know that I brought up those bigger names for Pittsburgh, I do think you're going to have some other guys like Heinen come in here and then be able to fly under the radar and then relieve some of that pressure, because of course the Rangers are going to try to shut down the big names, the guys you expect, Crosby, Rust, etc. You know that they're going to focus in on them. So thinking about that, we're going to see maybe somebody like him come in and help out the team. Now, speaking of shutting things down, the Penguins are going to have to shut down the New York Rangers on the power play in order to win, or whenever the Rangers are out on their power play. This is practically the entire series right here, as well as Shesterkin, of course, but we'll get to that in a bit. And if the Rangers can't score on the power play, they're likely done in this first round. They ended up having the 4th best power play percentage in the league this year, and guys like Chris Kreider took advantage of the man advantage, and then scored 26 of his 52 goals while being on the power play. And then he, is just having a career year in terms of goal scoring. But then you also have to look at, why is it so important for the Rangers to score when they have a numerical advantage besides the obvious? Well, I'll tell you why. Because they were really, really, really bad at generating offensive 5-on-5 play. In fact, they ranked 21st in goals for in the league per 60 at full strength, sandwiched between the Montreal Canadiens and Arizona Coyotes, and not somewhere you want to be if you're a playoff team. So, how have the Rangers been able to get this far, excluding their power play? Well, I'd say that the reason they've been able to contend for this division title this year and have such a good year in terms of getting points and wins, and while struggling to generate offense, has been their goaltending. And I think we all know that Igor Shesterkin has been so good. Practically had to bend over backwards in order to pull this team to a 110-point season, and it'll likely snag him a Vezina this year. Shesterkin posted a record of 36, 13, and 4 with a goals against average of 2.07, a save percentage of .935 with 6 shutouts, and on top of that, he posted the league's best goals saved above average, and he saved about 42.5 more goals than average you would expect. So that is huge, and I think somebody behind him was like 30, 28, something like that. So he had a pretty big lead there. and what he was able to do. And he also led the league in goals saved above expected with 37.24. So yeah, he was pretty good this year, I'd say. And you just have to hope heading into the playoffs he isn't exhausted. But he did play 53 games, so maybe not. I think he should be pretty good heading into this first round. Opposite of him, in that it looks like there will be Casey DeSmith, who's going to be filling in for Tristan Jarry, who's out indefinitely with an injury. This has got me nervous. DeSmith isn't a bad goalie, but I'm really worried for Pittsburgh if he's going to have to be their guy. Now, Jarry was not going to be filling me with a crazy amount of confidence, considering he has had some playoff duds in recent years, but it's a storyline we have to follow with DeSmith, and that's what's really holding me up. But I have to say that I had to make a decision. I had to make a pick for this video, and that is why for the video I am going to pick the Pittsburgh Penguins to win in 7 games. I don't feel good about this pick, but yeah, hear me out. At this point, I think picking Pittsburgh and having them lose early in the postseason these past few years is something that I've got really good at, but I still surprisingly think they're going to win. While their goalie certainly doesn't match up to Shesterkin, they are very good at 5-on-5. They're very good at the PK, on the PK, which is so important against the Rangers. If they can't generate offense against you at 5-on-5 and then you shut them down on the power play, you're going to be doing all right. My logic here is DeSmith should have a lighter workload potentially. Hopefully he can manage it. At the same time, I absolutely could see the Rangers top 6 just abusing the goalie situation in net for Pittsburgh and scoring 4 or 5 goals on something crazy like 20-25 shots a game, and then Igor just shutting down Pittsburgh's offense. But I'm going to roll the dice for multiple reasons, because I have had some doubts about the Rangers this year. They are a team that, yes, scores on the power play, but I think average the least time in the league on the power play per game. So if you're a team that struggles to generate offense at 5-on-5, you score at a high rate on the power play, but you also don't draw a lot of time on the power play. You're heading into the playoffs where you typically see less time on the man advantage. That could be a problem. And of course, Mike Sullivan is a great head coach. They've got a pretty good roster. Not a perfect roster by Pittsburgh by any means, but I think that they should be able to make the right adjustments and win this in 7. That's why I went 7. I think that if they do it, it's going to go the distance. Do I want Pittsburgh to win? Absolutely not. And I think that's the hardest part for me when I've had to pick so far, and I really hope that I'm wrong on this. But it's time to hear who you pick, and make sure to comment that down below who will win and in how many games. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you are new. Want to see more content from me? Also, don't forget to check out my other series previews, which I'll leave a spot for once you can click at the end of this video, so you can watch those and see how those go. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night. You love hockey, alright. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.